So you get the email yesterday. It's like 9:53 in the morning, 24 hours and
Correct.
7 minutes till the meeting. How
Correct.
long? How long after you opened the email did you figure? Did the plan become obvious?
Well, I honestly got the email a little bit later than that. It was probably about 10:15, 10:20 that I checked my emails. I think it was pretty much immediate that I knew what was going on. It's really kind of disturbing to me, and I sit on the show a lot that we have full time jobs, and I typically book up about a week in advance, and I visit about 40 or 50 houses a month, and I have to physically go and inspect those properties. So I have appointments set all morning already, trying to beat the rain, and I had to shuffle everything around to be able to attend this meeting. And then Councilman Nicholson has to appear in court this morning, and I believe that the administration knew that as well. So it's a little bit upsetting that myself nor Councilman Nicholson received a phone call asking if we'd be available to attend this meeting.
I said just a second ago at the beginning of the call, I said, how long after you saw the email did the plan become apparent? For anybody that's just kind of jumping on the proverbial train this morning, explain to everybody what you think the mayor's plan is here.
Well, I think that I have been very vocal, and I think Councilman Nicholson has also been very vocal that the mayor can't put Mr. Whitehorn in as interim CAO like he said in the meeting on Tuesday, due to the fact that we have a CAO right now, and it's Ms. Jones. I feel like the only way that he can make Mr. Whitehorn interim is to remove Ms. Jones, and that would be by making her CFO.
Grayson, let me ask you this: if this was so urgent, we can't wait till next week, and it's a tactic the mayor's using, why isn't Whitehorn included here? You may have heard my suspicion that maybe he doesn't have Green's vote on Whitehorn, and this is his way of putting him in as interim, and that's just the way he'll roll. Is he'll just be interim till whenever.
Well, that's a good question, but it's very simply answered. With Ms. Jones, we postponed this. It was a postponement. It had gone through the process. It had been a two-reader. We had read it once, and this was the second time around. So it was postponed for vote last Tuesday. With Mr. Whitehorn, his was denied. It was voted down. So the mayor legally cannot put this back on the agenda until the next meeting for us to introduce it in council, and then it would be another 2 weeks before it could be voted on. So basically, in a nutshell, Ms. Jones, the CFO legislation and Ms. Jones' appointment had already been introduced 2 weeks prior to it being delayed.
Why can't that wait till next week as well?
Oh, that's my question. I mean, like I said, if I don't mind, I take the council very seriously. I've only missed one council meeting in the 14 months that I've been there. I've never missed a committee meeting that I've been appointed to. And the one time I missed, it was a childhood friend that passed away, and I gave his eulogy. And I can't tell the family, well, I've got council that day, so I had to drive to Texas for that. But I take my role as a councilman very seriously. But I also have a job to do, and I have a family, and I signed up for a part-time job, not a full-time job.
Grayson,
and I don't.
Go ahead.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
think
Finish your
this
thought.
is an emergency.
I
don't think this is an emergency. I think that an emergency would be something to where we have, the coronavirus and they need funding for it, or something like that would be more of an emergency to me than putting Ms. Jones in as CFO.
Do you, or maybe even some of the other council people who will vote for Ms. Jones today, do you or some of the other council people, do you have concerns whether or not the mayor can just kind of like create a job? Meaning the chief financial officer. I mean, if the mayor showed up next Tuesday and said, "I want to create the Department of Redundancy Department," could he just do that? Does he have the authority? And I guess the bigger question is, why doesn't he just make her director of finance, a position that exists?
Well, and that's what I'm going to say today. I mean, I'm all for her being director of finance, and the charter is extremely clear. If you read it. The charter says that the mayor has the authority to create positions. However, what the mayor does not have the authority to do is change the job description of elected officials. the mayor is an elected official. What he's doing was making the chief financial officer and making that the chief financial officer to report directly to him. He is changing his job description as an elected official. The charter is extremely clear. The mayor has 3 departments that report to him, the police department, the fire department due to civil service, and the CAO. All other department heads report directly to the CAO. So what the mayor is trying to do, which would include the finance director, what the mayor is trying to do, and I don't care if you want to call it chief bean counter. I don't really care what you call it, but it's the director of finance, and that is by charter supposed to directly report to the CAO. And you're kind of bypassing what the charter said. And according to some authors of the charter and people that were there whenever the charter was started in 1978, this was done because they wanted to make sure that someone with executive experience was overseeing all these departments. And I think we're seeing that right now. The mayor has no executive experience.
So if the mayor wants to create a position, CFO, not director of finance, that already exists, if he wants to create the position of CFO that reports directly to him as opposed to the CFO, why?
I have no idea. That's a question for him. And I mean, I don't care if you want to rename the finance director, like I said, chief bean counter, as long as it reports to the CAO, like the charter says. I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, my point, Grayson, is the CAO is in fact the mayor's guy or gal. What speculate for me a little bit. What's the big picture purpose of him creating this new job that bypasses somebody that he would appoint anyway?
I don't have a clue. I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that question. And I had somebody ask me that yesterday. And, well, what difference does it make? The CAO reports to the mayor, and I'm assuming that's kind of what you're asking me.
Yeah.
And I guess in the grand scheme of things, what difference does it make? Other than the way the charter was written, the CAO was supposed to be more or less like a city manager. That's why there's such a, the mayor's report makes $96,000 a year. The CAO will make $160,000 right now. Ms. Jones makes over $130,000. The reason it was set up like that is because the mayor is supposed to be out being the cheerleader, going out and getting businesses, making appearances. The CAO was supposed to be running the day-to-day operations of the city. That's the way it was always set up, according to the to the authors of the charter. This is what and this was black, white. Everybody got together, Democrat, Republican, and wrote this charter, and that's the way they intended it to work. And I think that that's circumventing what the people wanted to do with the charter. And I mean, does it really make any difference? I guess probably not, but if we're going to do that, then we need to go to the voters and let them change the charter and let them make that decision.
Grayson, one more question.
Sure.
Out of decorum and respect for each other, you guys often postpone things and say, hey, this is in my district, I would like to delay. Are you going to request that? And are you hopeful that the other council members will respect each other and say, let's delay this until Mr. Nicholson can be in attendance?
Yes, exactly. I'm going to move to postpone. I hope I can get a second, and then hopefully it will be voted that we postpone. I think it's very important that we postpone this right now where all the council members can be there. 24 hours notice for a meeting that is really not an emergency is unacceptable to me. And I believe that we need to postpone it. And then also we need to get these answers. Is it legal for the mayor to do this when it comes to the charter? Regardless what the intentions are, Robert, regardless of if it really makes any difference, it still goes against the charter. And I was listening to a tape that the mayor gave a speech on Saturday and said there's 2 sets of rules for Shreveport. Well, no, there's one set of rules, and it's the charter. And as long as I'm an elected official, we're going to follow the charter.